Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Gamers. If you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Violet Memoir, Lucas's Path. So y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Please sit back and enjoy for the next 18 minutes while I entertain you, and let's jump right in. Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's go. Okay. As you were saying, I'm asking if any of the boys have caught your eye. That brings my attention crashing back towards Lily like she's a freight train and I'm just a small little fruit cart stuck on the tracks. She's still watching Lucas, but I somehow feel like she's looking at me from every direction at once. I know she's not being malicious, and she's just over eagerly approaching girl talk, but I can't help but feel overwhelmed. This isn't something I've ever wanted to talk to someone about. It caught my eye? Wallace, you know it's okay to have a crush on them, right? Leigh is basically a bad boy punk fantasy come true. Oscar looks like a porn star, and Lucas has this hidden, endearing side to him. Turning back to me, I can see her gaze as soft as if they're trying to calm me down through some hidden psychic powers. Regardless, it works and I can feel my heart rate slow down, my blood no longer rushing to my ears. Relax, it's just girl talk. No need to stress. Right. Yeah, just chatting. So? I'm not sure yet. I don't think it's developed enough to be anything. I only just met them. Her slow nod is both understanding but also unsatisfied. I could probably toss her more of a bone, but I don't want to set myself up for something. I don't even know how to explain this to myself, let alone her. What about you? Are you into any of them? Any of my extremely gay classmates? Right, that's a stupid question. I'm an idiot. I try to ignore the itching sensation crawling on my neck and maintain eye contact, desperate to not die from embarrassment. Or maybe, at all, you must be a catch, right? I like to think I'm a catch, but no one right now. I like all of them as friends, but I don't think I'd want to date any of them. I'd want something more normal. More normal? I don't think they're weird. She quirks an eyebrow upwards before glancing over at the boys again. It's only for a moment before she brings her attention back to me. Flicking my gaze over to the boys, I can see Oscar's now standing up and flexing his arm in front of Lucas, who's trying desperately to look at anything but towards the bulging bicep in front of him. It's a good thing Leigh isn't here, because I can imagine him scolding Oscar for acting like this. I don't think he let this happen. Not for long, at least. You're a perfect match for them. What? That's all I had to talk about. Now we just gotta wait for everyone to get ready. Might end up having to get you to go get Lucas if Leigh's back before him. Why me? He seems more comfortable around you than the rest of us. I try my best, but I think he prefers you. That makes sense. You mentioned yesterday that he feels more comfortable around me compared to the others. I don't really know why I'm different, but if I can help him, then there's no reason not to. I think I'm going to check on Lucas. That sounds like a good idea. I don't know what he's doing, but he'll probably like you around. Now get out of here. If her words weren't pushy enough, she reaches over the table and begins to shove me out of the booth. She's got an obvious, absolutely menacing smile, and it's obvious she's expecting something more than just talking to happen. Nothing's going to happen, though. I don't even know why she's so excited. I just want to check up on him. Sure, he's cute, but more important, he struggles in social situations and could use some help. There's no ulterior motive here. I just want to help. Sure, buddy. Outside the restaurant, Lucas still hasn't moved. He's just staring up at the sign hanging above the entranceway like there's something wrong with it, and he's trying to figure out what's so out of place. He's also standing directly in the middle of the footpath, forcing a few passers-by to awkwardly walk around him to continue on their way. But Lucas doesn't shift or acknowledge him at all, either not caring or not noticing at all. Either is possible knowing him. What's wrong? That jolts him out of whatever stupor he's fallen into, and the surprise in his face as he looks down at me makes him look like he's completely unaware of where he is, the remnants of a distant gaze still lingering in his eyes. What? What's wrong? You're just staring up at the sign. Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing important. I just haven't been to a restaurant in a long time. His voice sounds like he's disappointed. Like, what I asked him was the most inconsequential thing I could have uttered in that moment. Having regained his posture, he crosses his arms and continues to look up at the sign. His ears flicking toward me are the only indication that he's still paying attention to me. Does your family not take you to restaurants often? Not really. We used to go when I was younger, but we haven't been to one in a long time. At least 5 years. Why did you stop? His eyebrows furrow at that, and instead of answering my question, he walks over towards the window, staring at the patrons inside. Oscar and Lily are sitting together again, chatting with only laughter breaking up their back and forth. It looks like Leigh still hasn't come back inside yet. I've never been good with people after my parents took me out of school. We stopped going out as much. Did you miss it? Not really. I always preferred being on my own or just with my family. People are noisy and overwhelming. Books are simple. There's a bud of guilt in my chest at dragging him along with all of our group events. I didn't realize Lucas didn't like being out in public this much. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to. I could even take you home. I don't mind. My intentions truly are to give Lucas an out if he wants it, but there's a little nagging voice in the back of my head that's whispering little cruel nothings into my ear. An excuse to get away from the beach wouldn't be so bad. Lucas simply lets out a sigh and continues to stare through the window, focusing exclusively on the table where our friends are sitting. There's a melancholy to his eyes, a mixture of yearning and uncertainty. No, I want to stay. I'm enjoying this. They're annoying and obnoxious, but I haven't had friends like this before. Or a friend like you, I suppose. He smiles as he says that last part, his inner ears turning a darker shade of red. He doesn't turn to face me, but I catch his eyes darting in my direction before looking away again like he's a kid who got caught stealing candy from the pantry. Like me? Yeah, I mean, you know. Someone who likes me despite everything I do, and, you're really nice. I don't feel anxious around you. It's a good feeling. There's something so sweet to the way he says that. It's fondness, but it's not just for me. There's a warmth towards the window, too. There's a warmth towards the window? Okay. It's stilted, but it's still all the same. They're your friends, too. They're good people. I know they are. I just need some time. It's difficult getting close to people. I always end up messing everything up and hurting people. You mentioned you were homeschooled, but did you have any friends before then? He pauses at that, and his eyebrow furrows, his eyes scanning the area below him like he's reading a book. It's clear he's lost in his head again, likely some memories that I'm not privy to. Not really. Not real friends, at least. I had one, but that didn't last long. Did something happen? Then his face changes, morphing briefly to a look of agony like someone just stabbed him or pulled at his tail. It hurts just to see. He moved away. The finality to his words is heartbreaking, and it doesn't feel like he's truly over what happened. It makes sense, though. He's never really had many friends. Losing the one that he had must have been hard on him. Well, you got us now. We won't leave you. Except you will. Oscar finishes his bachelor this year, and I finish mine next year. I'll move back to my parents, and it'll be like this never happened. Doesn't mean we have to stop being friends. We can keep in contact. Plus, there's always post-grad. Who knows what we'll be doing by then. But I interrupt whatever he's going to say, bumping my shoulder against his own and trying to channel my inner Oscar. If he can be so optimistic and bubbly, then I can be the same for Lucas. Let's just focus on the now. We got 2 years before then. There's a fire to his eyes that wants to deny everything, to fight against what I'm saying, but no protests come out. Instead, he just nods and leans back against me. I'll try. What's the point of wanting to change if I just let things stay the same? That's his words again, and that he wants to change. I understand wanting to be a better person, but there's an almost bitter way he talks about himself. I like you how you are. I won't stop you, but I just wanted you to know that. He doesn't give a reply, but I know he heard it by the way his ears twitched and flicked in my direction. I hope he heeds my words, but I'll help him no matter what. We should go in, right? We've definitely been holding everyone up like total jackasses. Well, I have been. Don't be so harsh on yourself. Leigh is outside too, after all. But you're right, we should probably head in. We're blocking the footpath, and I bet Lily and Oscar want to talk to you. He lets out a defeated sigh, but it doesn't sound as convincing as before. I think there's a little part of himself that's looking forward to joining the group again. I must have an absolutely goofy smile on my face because he rolls his eyes after he sneaks a glance in my direction, nudging me towards the door as he walks off ahead. But he only takes a couple of steps before looking back towards me. His doe eyes are pleading for me to come with him so he doesn't have to face the beast alone, and it's too cute for me to resist joining him. The two sitting at the table are watching us the moment we walk through the door. They're muttering something to each other, something that I'm certain Lucas hears. If there's one thing I've heard about him, is that his hearing is impeccable. Lily says something that causes both of them to cackle like evil witches, and if the way Lucas's ears turn a deeper shade of red is any indication, it definitely was about us. In an attempt to ignore them, Lucas looks around at the rest of the restaurant. His eyes jump from table to table, seeing that most of them are packed with people. His next breath is shaky and takes a step back, almost walking into me. I want to reach out and comfort him, but that might make everything worse if people start staring at us. He already looks overwhelmed, and I can't imagine what it would be like for him if he suddenly became the center of attention. Instead, I opt for just simply creeping closer to the fox and bumping him gently, a playful nudge to let him know I'm still here. If I can't comfort him, I'll at the very least be able to give him my presence. He swings his attention back to me, ears perked up in alert like he'd been expecting a threat, but as soon as he sees it's me, he allows himself to breathe again with a quiet gasp. He closes his eyes and takes a deep breath, already looking less jittery than just moments ago. Sorry, there are a lot more people than I was expecting. It's okay. It's surprising it has this much business in autumn. People must really like this place. Can't imagine how packed it would be in summer. I can talk with everyone else and we can move outside if you want, away from everyone. They won't mind. It's fine, please. I don't want to be a hassle. I just want it to be a normal day with my friends. His voice is so soft, barely above a whisper, but it contains that fire in them that I've come to associate with Lucas. He's like a firecracker hiding himself inside a chunk of ice. With his composure regained, he continues on to the table, his pace a lot faster than before. I guess he's not completely over it, but he slides into the booth next to Lily with little fanfare. Following suit, I go to slide into the booth next to Oscar, but I'm stopped when he reaches over and nudges me towards the other side. As much as I'd love to sit next to you, we already decided to have you three on that side. Plus, I think Papa Bear would prefer if I sat next to him than one of you guys. Papa Bear, good lord. I'd much rather we sit here than be on that side anyway. This works well for me. But do you think I could sit at the end? I don't like being between two people. Oh, sure. We shuffle about for a second before we all sit at our seats, the scrambling creating an awkward silence between all of us. At least, I think it's awkward, except both Lucas and Oscar don't seem to notice, and Lily looks like she's enjoying herself. What were you two talking about? Oh, nothing. I don't go to restaurants often. I was just reminiscing about the times when we used to go out more. Good thing we decided to drag you out more, right? What's the point of college if you don't get to have fun, don't you think? Yeah, I've never really gone out with friends other than my roommate, but I do think I've been enjoying myself despite how obnoxious you can be. I wish you could have picked somewhere less crowded. There's a look of surprise on all of our faces at that, but I didn't think he'd admit to enjoying himself as easily, but it didn't look that difficult for him at all. Even Oscar's pleasantly surprised at the way his smile widens and his brows raises any indication. Well then, I'll have to take you guys some more. I know a bunch of places for all of us. Plenty of them are quieter than this, but I had to show you guys the dive. The food here is killer. He reaches and gives the fox a playful smack on the arm, to which he recoils in horror and looks over to me with absolute shock. Thankfully, with both Lily and Oscar laughing, he gets the hint that it's nothing bad, but that doesn't stop him from pouting. Hey, that's not funny, meathead. What if I clawed your arm? You wouldn't be laughing then. Oh, I know from experience that a couple of scratches won't kill me. You're welcome to try if you want. Lily snorts and I resist the urge to do the same. It's such a childish joke, but the way it flies over Lucas's head isn't helping. Thankfully, Lucas leans back and loses his pout, going back to his usual grouchy expression. I don't think he's really upset, though, just embarrassed. Sliding closer to him, I whisper in his ears, trying to keep this little exchange between the two of us. This might sound a little harsh out of context. See, I told you, we'll make up for all those missing years, even if we're all together for just one. We're all friends here. He nods, but I don't think he entirely believes it yet. We'll just have to show him that we were really going to be there for him. Everything okay? At the sound of a familiar deep voice, everyone stops and looks towards Leigh, who's standing next to Oscar's side of the booth. There's only a moment of staring before everything changes and all hell breaks loose. I love that. That's one of my favorite parts. Leigh's standing there, except he's wearing something completely different now. Instead of his usual leather jacket and red shirt, he's wearing something much more eye-catching and something I've never in a million years expected to see him in. He's wearing a pink hoodie, but instead of reaching all the way down to his torso, it stops just under his chest, allowing his stomach to be easily visible as well as the features underneath. I'm not able to make out the details of them this far away, and I'm a little too stunned to really comprehend what I'm looking at. It's such a stark difference from how I imagine Leigh in my head. He catches my eye, and when he sees how bewildered I am, he just lets out a sigh before giving us the barest of explanations. My sister made me wear this. That single action lights the fuse, but it sets off the rest of our group. Oscar all but jumps out of his seat, looking between the rest of us and Leigh as if screaming, "Look at this! You never told me you can dress sexy! It's like something I'd see at a club or something. Hell, I could even see myself wearing that, and that's saying something, man. It's just something I used to wear in high school. You got a sexy phase, man? You can stay in this more. I'm sure it won't just be me who'd appreciate it. I think all the boys would appreciate it." He waggles his eyebrows towards me and even nudges Lucas's shoulder. Amusingly, the fox looks more surprised by that than by what Leigh's wearing. You keep this up, and this will be the last time you see me like this. Come on, don't be like that. We're just saying you look hot, right, guys? You do look really good. I'm just enjoying the eye candy, but I feel like I'm not the target demographic here. Leigh lets out a huff, but I don't think he's annoyed. I just don't think he was expecting this kind of attention. Instead of acknowledging them, he looks over at me. He's trying to gauge my reaction All I'm able to give him is a nod as I try to maintain eye contact. I know if I think too hard about what he's wearing, I'm going to light myself up like a candle, and that's in the best case scenario. Despite looking completely different from what he usually wears, it fits him in a way. It still feels like something he'd wear. There's something rebellious about someone as gruff as him wearing something like this. I get the feeling he's gotten a lot of attention because of this before, and that's probably part of the reason. It feels like Leigh's trying to say something with it. Most likely, I don't give a shit what you think. My answer, or lack thereof, must be amusing to him because he lets out a snort and raises an eyebrow at me. I don't know what the big deal is, it's just a hoodie. My roommate wears stuff like this all the time. And just like that, the attention switches from Leigh to the fox. Mostly Oscar's as he leans in closer, much to Lucas's dismay. You have to introduce me to him sometime. I think we get along great. Yeah, I bet the two of you would. You're both very loud and have no sense of boundaries. So, is that a yes? Lucas sighs and stares up at the otter, looking defeated and just nods, not even bothering to resist Oscar's prying. Content with that answer, Oscar goes back to his seat and returns to admiring Leigh. To his credit, Leigh doesn't even bother reacting to his spying at all. I'm not sure if it's because he just expected this or if he's used to it, but either way, it doesn't look like the attention bothers him too much. Now, as exciting as Leigh's new outfit is, we should probably settle down before we annoy the staff. At the sound of that, Oscar tears his eyes away from the possum and looks towards our side of the table, putting it on an innocent face that looks too cheesy to be remotely believable. I come here a lot, so let's not get me in trouble with the owners. I like this place, alright? You're the one making a scene. We just want a quiet lunch, but I don't think you know what quiet means. A devilish grin spreads across the otter's face with such ominousness that it makes my skin crawl. His eyes dart between Lucas and me before he leans back against the cushioned seat. He looks like an evil mastermind with the way his eyes are twinkling with mischief. I saw both of you checking him out. Moss was a second away from drooling on his lap, and you're not as subtle as you think you are, Grumpy. I caught your eyes darting back to him whenever you thought no one was looking. I expect Lucas to give some kind of retort or insult, but he just looks away, acting as if Oscar didn't say anything at all. I can't see any of his features, but I can almost feel the heat coming off of him. Enough, both of you. Am I sitting next to Oscar? Oh, right, sorry, this was a little too much fun to watch. I got distracted. Here, let me sort it out. After what feels like an hour of shuffling about, which in actuality is only a few minutes, but Oscar's desire to peek at every angle of Leigh makes it feel like an eternity, we manage to seat ourselves inside the booth. On one side sits Oscar and Leigh, the two largest guys in the group, though Oscar definitely dwarfs Leigh in sheer size. Despite not getting along, Leigh approves of the idea. He's probably happy that Oscar isn't sitting with Lucas or myself. There's no complaints from the otter at all. There's too much for him to enjoy regardless of where he sits. Lucas looks relieved to not have to sit next to him, and there's a part of me that feels bad for Oscar. He's constantly being put on trial, and I'm almost certain he doesn't mean any harm. Alright, ladies and gents, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell if a super thanks, or a tip if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!